Hello, everybody. My name's Scott McGill, and I'm a guitarist. And the reason I'm making this clip is because I now offer customized Skype guitar lessons. And I wanted to introduce myself first. I've worked with a number of great musicians and continue to work with some great people like Michael Manring, Percy Jones from Brand X. I've worked with Neil Kernon, the producer. I've worked with a little bit with David Torn. Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater played on one of my albums a while ago. So I do progressive rock and I do jazz, straight ahead jazz. I do fusion. I do blues and rock and a number of even some classical things. So I wanted to talk a bit about just my background and also introduce a couple of concepts in this clip for guitar. And again, I'm offering Skype lessons, and these are completely customized around what you want to do with your music. Okay, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of great students from around the world, and I'd like to interact with more great players, and this would be, just consider it a little bit of a welcome. What I'd like to do today is talk about chords, and we'll talk about fusion, I guess, or jazz fusion playing for right now, just to kind of specialize it a bit. But just to give you an introduction to perhaps some ideas on how you can expand your chords and your writing on the guitar for today would be good. And I'm only going to work with a specific species of chords, just on the first four strings. We're not going to go into a whole bunch of things, but just to show you how a couple of basic ideas can really be spread across the guitar. Let's look at the seventh chords. So these, and I'm just going to take C major 7, and these are probably chord forms that you're very familiar with. They're not new for you, and if they are, that's okay too. It'd be a good review, and then we can branch out from there. So this would be an example of just something that, in terms of fusion playing, that could really help your writing, really help your playing, and even your comping for straight ahead jazz and other forms. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the basic 4 inversions of C major 7 on the first 4 strings, the chords on the first, second, third, and fourth strings. So the first one you're probably all familiar with is C major 7, C, G, B, and E. So this chord voicing, and that would be the root position. The next is the first inversion, which would be E, B, C, and G. And of course we arrive at that by doing what? We get the first voicing, we move each note to the next possible chord tone. So C goes to E on the D string, G goes to B on the G string, B goes to C on the B string, and then E goes to G. And if you have a note doubled, it means you did something wrong along the way. Not that doublings are bad, but if you have 2 of one note, you know that there's something a bit off. Okay, I'll take this down an octave. E, B, C, G. It's very nice. Now, we do the same thing again. E goes to G on the D string, B goes to C goes to E, and G goes to B. So there's the second inversion. Okay, that has the 5th of the chord in the bass. Nice voicing. We do it again. G goes to B, C goes to E, E goes to G, and this B goes to C, giving us the 3rd inversion with the 7th in the bass. That's nice. And if we do it again, what do? We end up back at the beginning. B to C, B goes to C, E goes to G, G to B, and then C to E. So the whole thing completed is, I'll play it down here. I like that voicing. And we can connect those with melody tones, just to get familiar with them, from the C scale. We're in C major, maybe a Lydian. I use an F sharp, so. Connect the inner voices. So I connect the G, A, so. And then the 3rd voice, maybe the C right here. F sharp I'll use. Eventually Actually, this will help you get the melody on all the strings, and we'll talk about that in a second. But watch here, I'll take the D now. I'll take the notes on the D string and move them melodically. Notice how I'm accenting the low ones. And any combinations can be used. So now all of a sudden you have a little more of a melodic sound to your chords. And those are just the 4 I just used. And you really get some nice melodies. See? So even just that shows how the basic 4 can be made very musical and very melodic. Here's the next step. Now we're going to go to each chord and we're going to alter the chord. Now, don't want you to think about this theoretically right now. You can go back and do that later. Okay, but watch this. This is interesting. Here's your C major, C, G, B, E, right in root position. What I'm going to do is, and what I'm going to ask you to do is, to expand your chord vocabulary is, all of these voicings have a root 5th, 7th, 3rd, root 3rd, 5th, 7th, etc. Okay? Let's stop that thinking for a second and only look at voicings that have the root in the bass, or the lowest tone, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. Okay? So chords based on that, chords based on this, chords based on this, and chords based on that. We're going to alter those to expand this. So we're not going to do root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. We're going to merely look for sounds or chords that sound like a C major. I'm going to use the Lydian mode. Okay, so I'm going to use an F sharp for all of these. So I'm in C, I'll use an F sharp or a raised 11th, however you want to call that. Now watch this. I'm going to start with the first voicing, which is the C major 7th. I'm going to tuck in so you can see it a little better. Now watch this. I've got that. I'm just going to alter it. I'm not going to use any doublings. You can do that, but I'm not going to, okay? I'm just going to strictly use different tones, 4 different tones, keeping the C in the bass. Find as many voicings with that C, okay? Watch this. Here's the first one. How about this? Instead of C, G, B, E, C, G, B, and D. Sounds like the Steely Dan chord, right? You know that kind of sound. Now watch this. Maybe I take the E up to F sharp. So C, G, B, F sharp. How about the G down and the F sharp up? That's nice. Wow, that sounds good. So that's C, F sharp, B, and G. Watch this. How about, going back here, how about C, F sharp, G, E? Oh, that's beautiful. And then maybe C, F sharp, G, D. C, F sharp, G, B. A little stretchy. And for those that really want to stretch, how about C, F sharp, G, and A? Very nice. How about C, instead of this one, we all know that one, right? C, E, G, B. How about C, D, G, B? That's nice. And again, for those that want to challenge, stretch backwards. How about C, D, G, A? And maybe put your finger there. This is nice. That's kind of nice. C, D, F sharp, and A. I use flatten my second finger. But you get the idea. How about C, D, E, A? And you can figure out what those things are theoretically. I mean, I don't have to go into 13ths and sharp 11s. You probably know all that stuff, okay? Now watch. That's just from one. That's just one C major. So even if I'm poking around, and already you can see how interesting this can sound, just off of a C major. So how about C, A, B, and E? C, A, B, and F sharp. Oh, that's kind of nice. You can kind of pull off that F sharp. All off the C chord. That sounds great. Now let me go to the next inversion. I mean, you could do that forever. And that's the point. write down the ones you like. And because as we see as we go, we're going to bring those more into the fold. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to do the third in the bass. So instead of E, B, C, G, how about E, B, C, D? F sharp is nice. How about E, C, D, and G? That's nice. Very nice. I'll bring it down an octave too. That sounds good. Now down here you can use the open string. F sharp, B, C, and E. Very cool. Hey, that's kind of nice. Okay. And there's your, how about E, C, D, and A? Beautiful. We do the same thing with G in the bass. So instead of just this chord, let's add the D. So how about instead of E, C, G, C, E, B, how about G, E? G, D, E, B, sorry. And bring it up to C. That's nice. How about G, C, E, F sharp? How about G, C, D, F sharp? And again, writing down the grips, the forms you like the sound of. Okay, so you can see there's a ton that can come. Oh, G, C, D, B. That's nice. And again, do the stretches that you can do. You don't have to go silly, wacky with that. Now let's go to the B. This last inversion, maybe put an A on there. It's kind of nice, How about all fourths? B, E, A, D. And you could have done that down here too. Back on the E one, okay? How about B, C, G, A? That's nice. How about, for stretchers, B, C, G, D? Beautiful. How about, you can see this can go insane. B, G, C, E. Well, that's really nice. B, G, C, D. Etc. Okay? The idea here is now you have a much larger palette of C major chords, okay? Or major seventh chords, major seventh type chords. So watch, say you just ran them, just randomly, literally. That's really nice. That's just C major. Here's where the fun begins. Because now that you have all that C major, I just used 4 voicings to generate these. Once you have that, now write down the voicings you like, and these are just major types. The fun begins, compositionally, I think, when you start to mix them. And without a scheme, we can do cycles, and we'll do that in a second. But watch this. I'm just going to take a few chords I like. Let's say this one. The C, F, G, and the C, F sharp, C, F sharp, G, D, and C, F, G. So the grips that I liked, and let's say I do this one. G, C, D, and F sharp. That's kind of nice. And what happens is you start to get into the compositional space of people like Pat Metheny and Lionel Holdsworth and these sorts of people that have really done creative stuff with chords. Okay, so watch. I'm just going to take this one I like. So I'm just going to juggle them around. I'll start in C maybe, and then just see where it goes. Okay. Those were just major forms. So let's check out maybe a little bit of what happened. Here's a C. I went to a G by moving one finger. So now it's B, F sharp, G, and D. How about moving that up to the E? So, and I want to go to B flat. I'm in a G major 7. Here we go. I did B flat, G, A, and D. So here, I kept the D up top. So I used that as a pedal point. Now I can expand that. So watch this. I'll try to keep that D the whole time. I'm going to use different chords and keep the D. This will give me maybe some organization around it. See? D, B flat. How about E flat? A flat. G flat. Okay. B. Change to C sharp at top. I'll do a cycle of fourths. E. A. D. G. I'll go down here. C. F. B flat. E flat. A flat. D flat, G flat, B. You get the idea. Interesting too is that you start to write music where there's no specific set progression. What's nice is you get some great results that are difficult to play through, challenging, but they come from a compositional and melodic space. Like watch this, I'll just do some random shuffling of some tonalities. I'll start on an A chord, okay? That was an A major. Right? Then you can go to a B flat major, then to a B major. And it doesn't sound like, you know, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds more melodic and more interesting. And then to a C major. So I went up by half steps. And I could do C sharp here. D. E flat. E. The chords go up and I go down. Watch. A. B flat. B, C, right? Then C sharp, D, E flat. That's nice. E, A, you know, or E, F, F sharp. G, A flat, right? A, B flat. And all I'm doing is using those shapes that I derived, you know, earlier, okay? That's all I did. And again, you can see how a whole chord progression can come just from a few finger moves. Like, I know I always play this one. B. Can't help it, I really like it. Here's a B major, 7. And if I just change the one note, here's a B major. Now if I just change this note, it could be an E flat minor 7, or it could be, you know, an F sharp. Put an E in the bass, that's nice too. You know, it can go anywhere. Again, free, that's nice. F, that's a B major to an F. And we go to a, maybe an A major. C major, A major to C major. Again to a C major. To an E flat. Watch this. Keeping the B flat, going to a G flat. Does that make sense? It's a way to generate new progressions, to understand what fusion players are doing. And a lot of this sort of linear approach to harmony is what the greats are doing, all the great players. Again, Alan Holdsworth and Pat Metheny and people like that. Even modern players, Wayne Krantz, Ben Monder, all these really great players. That's a part of their language, okay? And it can be used in straight-ahead jazz, etc. I mean, I chose to do it in fusion here. But the most important thing for me, too, is it helps your writing, and it helps you look at things in a new way without being totally theoretical about it. And you notice I'm not talking about their 13s and these sorts of things. You can do that, you know, and you should do that. That's a great thing to do. It's great to go, well, wait a minute, against a C major, this is an added ninth. And against an A, you know, it's an A minor 11, this sort of a thing, you know. That's great. That's great to do, and to try different bass notes as well. You know, it doesn't have to be the root. You know, obviously, it doesn't. That's not what it has to be. Here's an A major with a sharp 11, so it's A, D sharp, E, and B, right? Okay, and that chord with an F sharp in the bass is something different altogether with an E in the bass. Okay, same thing here. Here's an E, D sharp, an E, and a B. So it's an E major 7. It's a C sharp minor 9. Also, you put an A in the bass, it's an A sharp 11. Okay? So now you can assign your bass player a lot of different interesting things as well. That's just on one string group. I did not leave the top 4 strings, and I didn't even play minor chords. Those are just major chord formations. So those are just some of the things that you can get involved with chords, which are very interesting. And of course, after that, once you start to master that, you get the voices moving, you know. Okay, so I hope that's helpful, and I hope it gets you to look at chords a bit differently and to really experiment with them. They're fun, and sometimes it's something that we don't want to deal with because, you know, we're busy playing a lot of lines, and it's all great stuff. But I think the chords are just so important to help your lines and your composition and all the other things. It can have a knock-on effect. And again, that's just the first 4 strings. Imagine if you did that on the middle 4 and the bottom 4, etc. You know, and just. Combine them with the top. with that. And I have done. I sit there for a long time and do that. Okay, so I hope that helped. Contact me via Facebook for Skype lessons if you're interested. Again, they are customized and they're based around what you want to do. So go to Scott McGill on Facebook or Scott McGill Skype guitar instruction and just see the links down below. And thank you for your time, and I hope this has been helpful. I hope to hear from you soon.